ready to take your investment game to the next level? Introducing Digital Investor, your ultimate guide to mastering the digital marketplace. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, Digital Investor brings you cutting-edge game theoretical strategies, expert insights, and real-time tips and tactics to analyze, evaluate, invest, and grow your wealth. Don't miss out on the digital revolution. Visit www.nickblacknex.com and start your journey with Digital Investor today.
All right, keep going. All right, let's see. It's the appropriate level. 10. 10 is the appropriate level. Hello? Hello. And this one today is, well, I can't tell from the smell of it. I don't know. If I didn't read it, I don't know if I would know what it is. It's more of just a general flavor, I guess. General coffee with creamer flavor. Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so we got some pretty cool news. Yesterday, Brandon was talking about the amount of Bitcoin on exchanges, but the number is less because I think he was quoting some older, like a few days older information. So what I read was last night that there's 2.41 million Bitcoin left on all the exchanges. So that's publicly available Bitcoin. And actually, let me make one adjustment to that, because we're going to talk about IBIT and how much BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF holds right now. That's also the main asset that we're using. Well, right now, it's the only asset that we're using for selling cash secured puts and covered calls against it, because it is the most liquid of the ETFs, and their options market is also the most liquid. And because Bitcoin is kind of all over the place and volatile, then you have very, very nice, desirable premiums that you can absorb every week, while degenerate gamblers try to guess the price. Like, while all these idiots listen to technical analysis morons on Twitter and X and then try to guess the price of Bitcoin because they're idiots. So anyway, we'll talk about BlackRock. There could be so there is some correlation between when Tether prints up money out of thin air. Oh no, sorry, fully backed, right, by government and corporate paper, right? But anyway, when Tether prints up new money, it usually ends up in the crypto market. And it has been kind of traced back to a few bull markets. So there's a good chance that in the early days of crypto, Tether and the scumbag criminals over there, sorry, some of them were pardoned. I noticed even though they were pardoned, they still they kept the fines, the hundreds of millions in fines. They didn't pardon that. So what? I guess those idiots can carry guns again. I mean, that's what they get their guns right back. Anyway, gun rights back. So there was $1 billion in USDT that was minted over the last few days. $1 billion, right? Because everybody just decided over the weekend to give Tether $1 billion, right? I mean, that's why you would print a billion tethers, right? Well, anyway, there's a little bit more to it, and it's where the money went that I think you guys will find interesting, both interesting and ridiculous. So I don't think that this particular $1 billion is going to make any difference at all in crypto. Matter of fact, it might even be a negative. We'll see. And then a company called StartNet. I like the first name, Start. They are finding ways to build a DeFi ecosystem around Bitcoin so that you can wrap Bitcoin and put it into a bunch of spammy, bullcrappy DeFi products so that you can lose it. And then they'll pay you a yield on it before you lose it, before someone exploits them, either by destroying one of the liquidity pools, tricks some bot into doing something stupid, just straight up steals it by some man in the middle attack, or they do flash loans until you're completely busted, zeroed, and then they go, oh, sorry, impermanent loss. Oh. Anyway, yeah, so I recommend not to do it, but we will talk about it. And then our old friend Alex, I have 200 millions of my own monies on the platform. Mashinsky, he actually said that. This dickbag said that to me on a live clubhouse room with like hundreds of people in it. Everybody was. I remember it because all these douchebags. It was this guy that was like a wellness coach, but he had decided to become like the big community, like the rah-rah guy, the evangelist for Celsius. And so they got everybody in the Telegram. There was, sorry, not Telegram. It was Celsius. It was a Celsius group on Clubhouse, if anybody remembers Clubhouse. And everybody changed their profile picture to Alex Mashinsky because he was such a great guy. And people said, put all your money over here, Celsius, 9%. And I said, I don't understand. There was me and one other guy. We were the only naysayers. We said, I don't understand how you can pay 9% on Bitcoin when Bitcoin doesn't derive any yield. Never mind Michael Saylor's bullshit. There is no Bitcoin yield. That is a made-up bullshit term. But these guys were actually paying. Celsius was paying 9% on people's Bitcoin, which you can't do. You can't do that. You can't pay 9%. I think it was 9% on anything. It was something ridiculous because it was definitely stable coins and something else. I don't know. They had all these weird incentive things. Anyway, it was very spammy. And so we were like, well, but what it was, we were really hammering on the 9%. We were like, how can you pay 9% on anything that doesn't earn a yield? Like, you can't earn 9% in US dollars. So how do you pay 9% in stablecoin? And they didn't have an answer. So he said, his answer was, I have 200 millions of my own monies on the platform. Why do you think I make a scam or something like that? Something very Russian and very obviously a scam. And we were like, this is a scam. You guys are all being scammed. You guys are all being duped and you're too stupid to do math. And like, it was the greatest. And then when, of course, it came collapsing down no more than like a year later because you can't pay. Oh, and because like everybody over there was a degenerate gambler. Like everybody, Alex included, they were all degens. So they gambled away client money. Anyway, we'll talk about that. Anyway, the DOJ is seeking a 20-year sentence for him. 20 years, buddy. 20 years. So does he deserve 20 years? No. Probably deserves 19. Come on, we're not monsters. I mean, he stole billions of dollars. He gambled away billions of dollars, and he bankrupted a lot of people. Maybe 20 years. Anyway, that's where we're at. Okay. Question: could USDT become a black swan? You know, Sam, it's funny. No one cares. I've said this a lot. You guys all know I'm like a broken record on this. US Tether is the scammiest company, full of corrupt, lying scumbags. Every one of them convicted, because of financial crime. They are all scum, all of them. But, and they've never been audited successfully. Never. Let's say this again. They have over 100 billion in funny money currency floating around. I say funny money because it's not stablecoin, because there's not anything behind it. There is some money behind it. Obviously, they've made money over the years by trading their funny money for Bitcoin and Ethereum and other assets that went up and appreciated. So there are or were assets somewhere, but I'm sure that the founders just divided that shit up amongst themselves. Hence the indictments, hence the sentences, hence the convictions, hence the fines, and then the pardons. But so it's just a big pile of scumbags that have been counterfeiting for years, and no one cares. No one cares that Tether is a complete, total heist. That it is a print. It's no different than you going to Home Depot. Do they still have copying machines at Home Depot? No, probably not. Probably Office Depot, if they haven't gone out of business. Wherever you would go to look at copying machines and just print up $100 bills, because of the price of the paper, your $100 bills that you printed just on notebook paper would be worth more than Tether. But nobody cares. Nobody cares it's fake. No one cares it's always been fake. Nobody cares. Not one, nobody. And the only people that kind of care is in Europe, because of the way that the banking system works and the oversight around, like, whoever the overseeing body among stablecoins and crypto said, you guys can't pass an audit, so you can't do business here. And rather than pass the audit, they just said, fine, we're leaving. What does that tell you? They cannot pass an audit. They are full of shit, every one of them. And then that's once. Now let's flip the coin over. Are US dollars capitalized by actual anything? Well, they have the US government. The government can print up more dollars. Is there anything actually behind those dollars? No. But the difference is, with a stable coin represents US dollars. Tether can't print up US dollars. They can print up a funny money stable coin. And supposedly the rule is you take money into the trust. And the way you make money is you have tons of that money earning tiny percentages, overnight lending rate, up to like the 2-year, but no further than the 2-year on treasuries. Fast on the run treasuries that you roll over every few days. And you make a little percentage of a big pile of money. And a little bit of a lot is also a lot for 6 dudes, for 6 crooks. That's how stablecoin's supposed to work. But there's that pile of money behind it doesn't appear to exist. There's something there. It just doesn't appear to exist. And nobody cares. No one has ever cared, except a couple of regulators in Europe. I don't know, man. So when you see people on TV that don't know much about crypto and they say crypto is mostly a scam, it's mostly gambling, they're correct. Crypto is mostly a scam. It is mostly gambling. Guess what else? The stock market is mostly a scam and mostly gambling. You don't own shit. You own nothing. You own stock. Oh, I own stock. Guess what that is? Nothing. It's the lowest level of the capital stack. First in line for dividends, last in line at liquidation. That company goes under, you get dick. Zero. You get less than dick. A dick would be something. You get zero. You get nothing because you have nothing, because equity is nothing. You don't own, if you own shares, I own some shares of Apple that I don't know where they are, or I would sell them, but I just get like a dividend check of $7 every quarter. I don't know why. If you own shares of Apple, you don't own bricks in Cupertino. You own nothing. Nothing. These idiots that keep giving GameStop money. Oh, by the way, real quick, little note on that. You guys remember GameStop said we're going to buy Bitcoin? Yeah, Michael Saylor strategy. Yeah, and everybody and they raised more money. They didn't end up going and buying Bitcoin. Not yet. They're like, whoa, we don't know. We don't know how much we're going to buy. We're not sure yet. So the whole point in that raise that they just did was money that they were going to use to buy Bitcoin, and they haven't done it yet. They're like, well, we're not sure. We may use some of it for corporate purposes. Oh, but you don't need to, because you already fleeced everybody, all those dumbass idiots that were listening to Stupid Kitty online, while you guys fleeced everyone and raised more money for a company that's bankrupt and has been bankrupt for a decade and should not exist. You got billions. They have billions in cash. You know what they've done with it? Less than dick. LTD. Less than dick. They've done nothing. Nothing. And they're like, well, we're going to reconsider. No, what's there to reconsider? You raised money under this description. We're raising money for this part. They just brush that off. I guess they can just, they can buy themselves Ferraris and shit, because they have billions of dollars for a company that's basically insolvent and defunct. So good for them. And even better for the investors that gave them money. Smart move. Those of you out there that own GameStop, bought GameStop, support GameStop, well done, dummies. Well done. You're among the dumbest humans on the planet. This is a big group of dumb humans, but you're among them. You're among the dumbest of the dumb. All right. Okay, if you have questions, cool. Just put the word question. Yeah, it's just that the eventually part, Green, that's the problem. The eventually part can go on for a long time. People can run. Keep in mind, many of you probably know this because I think we talked about this. When Bernie Madoff was discovered as being a fraud, as running a Ponzi scheme, it was I believe, I have my facts right, it was the Boston office of the Securities and Exchange Commission. They explained everything to New York, where Bernie Madoff was making off with everyone's money. And they said, here's the story. They drew it out. They said, this is what he's doing. They're using new client inputs to pay off old clients. Because when the market's going down and we know what assets he owns and they're going down, he showed a profit. And when the market's going up, he showed more of a profit. More than is possible given his portfolio and the market. Therefore, we know this is a fraud. We know it is. It is. It was 8 years later. Think about that. 8 years later that the SEC in New York finally went after Bernie Madoff. 8 years. So imagine you're an investor in this guy's Ponzi. And the SEC in Boston, who I assume are pretty clever, they say this is a Ponzi scheme. It's the SEC. It wasn't like some staffer. It was the Boston branch of the SEC. They said, this guy's a fraud. He's a fraud. We can prove it. Look, math. It took 8 years for New York to bring him down. They didn't even indict for years. Years, man. What a scam. And guess what? If Bernie hadn't come in himself, there was a good chance. I mean, if he hadn't finally cooperated, there was a good chance that they would not have been able to bust him. They wouldn't have been able to prove it. But he had kids blowing their brains out and stuff like that. So he was, whatever. But all Ponzi schemes collapse, but the eventually part, it's that timeline of eventually that part's tricky. Is strategy a big concern for BTC investors? No, strategy is a big concern for strategy investors. Any of the big, the hedge funds, exchanges, they would all sing Kumbaya, and if Michael got in trouble, they would bail him out. They have to now. That's what I believe that factored into what he's doing. I believe that he's kind of wanted to get big enough where they can't let him fail. And he's done that. And again, the second dumbest pile of investors. I mean, and I called out a hedge fund manager. Well, I don't know if hedge fund manager, that's pretty loose. The guy drives like a Prius, but a hedge fund manager at my buddy's not his New Year party. It was maybe it was New Year's. Anyway, I said, well, you have some of the dumber investors on the planet giving Michael Saylor money because they clearly don't understand what they're buying. And he's like, oh, I've been in strategy. I just loaded up on strategy. This is right before they took a like a 59% dump. So he hasn't checked in lately. But anyway, I said, congratulations, you're part of the dumbest investing culture on earth. And he was like taken aback. Like, no one has directly insulted him. I guess his circle of idiots, that he's the king idiot in his circle of idiots, in his idiot fiefdom. There's a lot of effing idiots out there, man. But no, I think that exchanges and I think everybody would come to the aid of Saylor because he's got so much Bitcoin. And again, don't fall into his Bitcoin yield. He's telling people now, we bought Bitcoin at 92,000. Therefore, this year we have a 13.7% Bitcoin yield. No, you don't, because Bitcoin doesn't yield. Bitcoin doesn't have a yield. It's proof of work, not proof of stake. You can't stake it. And if you think you are, you aren't. There's some other mechanism at work. Anyway, well, we'll talk about that here in a second. Anyway, best place to hold Bitcoin and Filecoin. Well, I mean, Conan, you could probably just hold them on Coinbase. They're probably fine. You could, if you really want to be clever, you can get private wallet for Bitcoin. You could just download a private wallet. And that's one way. You could use a Trezor or a Ledger or a N0 hardware wallet. That'd be another way. With Filecoin, you could actually spin up a server. You could be a Filecoin miner if you wanted to. But there's Filecoin wallets you can download, I'm sure. Okay, let's see. His zero Morse. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if for Madoff it was a win. I bet as he sat there and withered away to dust, some part of him had, I mean, you would think so. I mean, unless he's just a crazy sociopath, some part of him had to feel awful. Like when my cats destroy stuff, I yell at them. I won't hit them, but I'll yell at them. And I feel bad about it, but I don't feel bad about why I yelled at them. I feel bad about the fact that I yelled at them. I'm like, why do you knock over your food? That's your food. You're supposed to eat that. They just hit it. Wow. Go upstairs. And they fucking haul ass. And then later I feel bad, but I feel bad that they feel bad. I don't feel bad for telling them not to. With Bernie, I just feel like as he sat there in prison on a park bench or whatever, feeding birds, at some point it got to him like, this is my end. It's got to be, especially for someone like that who was kind of narcissist and like a megalomaniac or whatever, like that's got to be the greatest embarrassment. So he might have shown zero remorse, but that guy he lived out many years of an embarrassing demise. That's the best. That is the most just reward a piece of shit like that can receive. Is just an embarrassing, slow demise into nothingness. Okay. Changing my analysis from 50-50 left translated cycle to 60-40 right translated cycle, i.e. peak coming. Okay. I don't know what that means, but cool. As far as Filecoin mining, I don't know how lucrative it is. I know that my buddy and I were looking at it for a while. We were looking at spinning up some servers. We're going to get some rack space. We're going to get a couple servers. We're going to run Filecoin miners. And this was like a year or two. This is 2018, 2019. This is a couple years after the ICO. And it was, well, remember, at one point, Filecoin made that run to over $200. Filecoin had a run that would blow your hair back. And I was very lucky in that one, in that the person I invested with somebody else. We put our money together. And at that time, we were like, on any ICO, we would give any ICO $10,000. Any, no matter what, is 10K. That's all we would do. And we would split it. And so 5K each. But that's what we do. With any ICO, it's getting 10K. On that one, he was in control of the tokens. And it was through CoinList. And something sketchy happened. There's what he says happened and what I'm pretty sure happened. But anyway, the tokens start coming in and he doesn't give us our tokens. Now, the thing, it gets up to like $5 or $6. I think he tried to play us. I think he sold the tokens, the first batch, then was going to try to buy them back cheaper, but then it went up. The price went up. So what happened is he had sold my tokens early on. So he had to end up giving me his tokens after the price went higher, right? Because we were splitting them, but he sold them all thinking he would buy them back cheaper. Therefore, he shorted. It didn't work out. He had to give me his tokens. I was supposed to get a few thousand tokens. I ended up getting, I don't know, like, no, it wouldn't be. I think I was supposed to get 1,200 tokens or something like that. No, because it was $5. Maybe I was supposed to get 1,000. But anyway, the point is, I got like 800 tokens. But because it took him so long to give them to me, because I guess he was trying to, play the market, which didn't work out because he went bankrupt. But I ended up getting out of like 600 tokens over $200. So I got my money back in spades, and that was the last time we ever invested together. Yeah, because like one time when someone pulls a shenanigan like that, you gotta like cut it. But anyway, yeah, that was that. That was my Filecoin story. And after that, we were gonna run miners, but at that point I was like, I don't know how much I trust the guy, and I couldn't do it. I ended up having to loan the dude money 14 times. Oh God. Nightmare. Okay. In previous halving, do you mean having or having, like the halving, like cut in half? Altcoin in the previous halving, we'll call it the halvening, where the Bitcoin block reward gets cut in half every 4 years. Altcoins seem to have a run. Why are we not seeing this now? Because the past doesn't mean anything, James. It's never meant anything. Yeah, I think Filecoin's a good buy. I'm not telling anyone to do it. I just think that below the ICO, if you believe in the project, is always a great time. It means nobody here lost from not having participated in 2017. Bankman-Fried or Madoff? Madoff. Bankman-Fried is a willing idiot, and Bankman-Fried, here's what it was. Bankman's dad is a crook. He perverted FTX. Bankman himself, Sam, he was just partying like an asshole. And what happened is, when he realized they were in trouble, he thought they would gamble their way out. So he gave money to Alameda, his little creepy, ugly orgy girlfriend, Caroline, who, damn, come on, Sam, buddy. At one point, you were a paper billionaire. Bro. Anyway, a little mousy, still a little mousy, little toothy thing. Anyway, Madoff is definitely a bigger crook, I think. Let's see. I think Falcon. Yeah. Well, Scammy Lawyer was his dad. That was the scam. That's the whole thing. Scammy Lawyer was Sam's dad. So probably a lot of the time Sam's doing is his dad's time, but he's not going to throw his dad under the bus. Anyway, whatever. Okay, let's talk BlackRock. BlackRock. Okay, BlackRock's IBIT holds over 3% of Bitcoin supply following a record 970 million inflow. IBIT's strong inflow was able to offset the broader U.S. Bitcoin ETF market outflows. BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust, IBIT, which is the largest spot BTC exchange-traded fund by net assets, recorded a positive inflow of 970 million yesterday. 970 million yesterday. This marks the second largest single-day inflow since the launch in January of 2024. The strong inflow pushed IBIT's assets under management over 56 billion. Remember, that's not BlackRock. That's just IBIT. According to Soso Value data, the fund controls over 3% of Bitcoin's 21 million Bitcoin supply and more. If you consider that Bitcoin doesn't have 21 million yet, also there won't be 21 million total until 2140, and also 5 to 6 million of those have been lost, gone, see you later, bye, no longer exist. So they probably own a much bigger portion. They think probably closer to 4%. While IBIT's performance stood out, the broader spot Bitcoin ETF market faced significant outflows. Let me throw this up here so you guys can see her. Bam. Okay, let's go Rexher. Okay, Lola's got that large Coke, pie, coffee. Is there one more? No, that's it. Okay. Remember that, Hank? Anyway, ARK Investment led the day's losses with an outflow of 226 million. People aren't trusting ARK, are they? Fidelity followed with 86.87 million outflow. Grayscale reported 42 million in outflows, while Bitwise shed another 21.1 million. So basically, everyone had their asses handed to them, except for IBIT. IBIT doing just fine. Despite the outflows, IBIT's strong inflow helped extend the overall market's positive momentum. The U.S. spot ETF sector has now recorded 7 consecutive days of net inflows, totaling around $4 billion during the period. Commenting on these activities, Bloomberg ETF analyst, I like how he's an ETF analyst. He's anything crypto, they just put that Bloomberg Solana analyst. Bloomberg ETF, Bloomberg janitorial analyst, Eric Balkunis. He's the analyst. Anyway, good for him. He's the analyst of everything, I guess. Well, I guess anybody can be an analyst. You can analyze. You can opine on that, and you're an analyst. So good for him. He noted that the spot Bitcoin ETFs are moving 2 steps forward after 1 step back. Whoa. Mind-blowing stuff out of this guy. No wonder he's an analyst with quips like that. He added that this gradual but consistent progress aligns with early predictions for the ETF growth sector's growth pattern. Right. Okay, guy. Let's talk about this Tether thing, the 1 billion in USDT. I bet I don't even have to. I'll bet you, as I read this thing, that I don't have to say anything at all, even funny, and you'll figure out why I'm dubious that this is good. You tell me in the comments when you realize what I realize. Let's see if you can get it done. Tether has issued 1 billion in USDT in the last 24 hours. In 24 hours, they issued 1 billion Tether through the Tron network, bringing its total supply on the Tron blockchain. on Tron alone to 71.7 billion. So there's 71.7 billion that supposedly Tether has that's all allocated. So there's a bank account with 71.7 billion US dollars. And all of that was earmarked for Tron, for the Tron network. The issuance of USDT is seen as a signal that a new crypto bull market may be starting, similar to past movements that preceded significant Bitcoin rallies. And of course, it would all be on Tron, right? Like that's where the bull market would be, right? On Tron. Why is there a single dollar on Tron? Not why is there 71.7 billion? Why is there anything? Nope. Man, when I say no one uses Tron, no one. I mean, no one uses it. It is a wash trading dumpster fire. That's it. They got nothing. Anyway, Tether's strategy of increasing liquidity through the creation of new tokens is designed to fuel the market. Yes, it's also called counterfeiting, providing more purchasing power for currency purchases. In the last 24 hours, Tether, the company behind the most widely used stablecoin USDT, has issued an impressive $1 billion backed by the Tron network. This move is not isolated. It's just a small part of a much larger phenomenon that could signal the beginning of a new bull market. So yeah. By the way, since January 29th, Tether has minted a total of 12 billion USDT on Tron alone. On Tron alone. Tron. Since then, massive USDT minting has been an indicator of bullish market movements, especially in relation to Bitcoin, which has shown a strong tendency to rise once more liquidity is circulated. Oh, really? So let's see if we can put this together. Everybody get out your napkins and your fucking crayons. So the company called Tether prints up out of thin air a bunch of funny money, and Bitcoin goes up. Whoa. There's a correlation between counterfeiting in the crypto space and crypto going up. What a weird debasement, scammy, Ponzi way to it's so stupid, man. Anyway, when large amounts, Tether is already a scam. So I'm glad you asked that earlier, Sam. When large amounts of USDT are issued, the market receives dry powder ready to be deployed. That's not true. The market wouldn't have that dry powder if they hadn't transferred, or at least were supposed to have transferred US dollars into the market or some other equivalent. There has to be, this is the thing that everybody misses. Oh, Tether could just make more liquidity. Yes, but there's no money behind it. So when people go the other direction, there gets to be a point where there's a cutoff where there's no money left. They're like, wait a minute, what about this other 200 billion? What? Well, Tether, you have 200 billion outstanding, but your bank account's empty. What? That's just crypto. That's just crypto. Oh. What? More purchasing powers. Yes. When the Iranians had their printing machines and they printed US dollars called super bills, if you guys remember, they had more purchasing power. They could then purchase weapons from the, God, man. I mean, this is just wash, rinse, and repeat, counterfeiting, corrupt bullshit. And then the best part, the cherry on top, is on the Tron network. One of the reasons Tether chose to continue issuing on the Tron network, other than the fact that they too are criminals, is their efficiency. It offers low transaction fees because no one uses it, and faster transfer times because no one uses it, and their blocks are empty. In this sense, Tether's decision reflects on the growing importance of platforms to provide fast, affordable transactions, vital for users who need to move large amounts of stablecoin without losing value and fees. Except that you have stablecoin on Tron. I mean, I guess you can go to an exchange where you can swap it out for something else because you don't want to be holding Tron USDT. With the recent increase in its supply on Tron, Tether strengthens its footprint on the network, allowing users to take advantage of the speed and affordability of their transactions for various uses. It says, lastly, the issuance of new USDT is not simply a mechanism to inject money into the market immediately, but it's part of a larger liquidity management strategy. Tether uses this minting process to manufacture future demand, distributing these tokens to exchanges, businesses, their own partners, their back pocket, when liquidity demand is the highest. But there's not a crunch for liquidity in crypto. This is the whole thing. This isn't the repo market where collateral's unwinding and there's a scramble for cash or something. Like, this isn't that. This is all counterfeit money. God. Anyway, great. Tether's printing up money for Tron. Woo! It's so stupid. Okay, let's talk about Bitcoin staking. Bitcoin staking, everyone. Bitcoin staking. Which, again, I'm going to tell you first off, don't do this. Don't get anywhere near this. No. Tether doesn't own shit. Tether claims to own. And they claim to own 100 billion in treasuries. Probably the one thing they do own is Bitcoin, because they've been counterfeiting for years and buying Bitcoin. They've never been audited. Never. So do you believe they have 7 tons of gold and 100 billion in treasury somewhere? Because no one else can find it. No. The third party was a firm that themselves is not even an auditing agency. It's 2 lawyers in Panama. Buddy, you gotta check your news sources. I think you might be listening to news you agree with rather than actual news. Anyway, Bitcoin staking launch. Startnet is set to debut their Bitcoin staking by Q3 of this year, 2025, enabling users to stake major Bitcoin wrappers, right? Like WBTC and all that kind of stuff. So, transforming asset utilization. The integration transforms Bitcoin from a mere store of value into a productive asset, allowing holders to earn STRK token rewards. Ooh. Bridging DeFi ecosystems. Let's see. This move is part of Startnet's broader strategy to unify Bitcoin and Ethereum ecosystems, enhancing liquidity, security, and overall digital financial innovation. Yeah, that's another thing. You guys think there's a bunch of gold in Fort Knox? You guys are also along for the ride. That's been like the most open, obvious kind of gag. It's just full of IOUs. Back in the Bush administration, they pilfered that shit. Like late Reagan, early Bush, they pilfered that thing. Ain't nothing left. That's why when these countries ask for their gold back, the U.S. says, not right now. They're like, well, we want our gold. No. What do you mean, no? No. Where's the gold? No. Give us our gold. No. It's all, man. I bet it's a bunch of spray painted tungsten bricks. Bullshit. The U.S. didn't have a. Come on. Anyway, Startnet is set to launch Bitcoin staking by Q3 2025. Known primarily as the Ethereum Layer 2 network, Startnet is now venturing into the Bitcoin DeFi landscape. Well, known primarily as an Ethereum Layer 2 network. I wouldn't say Startnet is known as anything. Startnet is a relatively new project, and I don't think too many people really. Does anybody use Startnet? Anybody here use Startnet? No, the Treasuries is not. None of it, man. You go read up about Tether. You've got some. You might be getting the Tether newsletter. Anyway, Tether's never been audited. Not one single part, not one piece of their pile of assets has been audited. Nothing. And that's why they got booted out of Europe. Because they can't pass an audit, because you have to show where the money is that backs your stablecoin, or you have to get the fuck out of Europe. So they had to get the fuck out of Europe. You listen, don't you think that if they could have passed the audit, they would have? That would do huge things for Tether. That'd be amazing for Tether. Right, but when you make statements like that, you can't just whimsically make statements like that, prognostications that look like truth. Otherwise, preface everything you say with, this is probably bullshit, but ... You just can't, dude. You're too flimsy with the fake facts. Okay. Unleashing Bitcoin into DeFi. Again, don't anybody do this. Do not. Listen, if you can hear me, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what not to do. Do not participate in StarkNet, Bitcoin, anything. Just period, anything. This thing is going to get destroyed. It's just a matter of time. So anyway, don't do it, but we'll at least talk about it. StarkNet's latest announcement opens up a new frontier for Bitcoin holders by enabling staking on their network. The platform will allow users to stake Bitcoin wrappers like WBTC, CBBTC, which is the Coinbase one, UBTC, IBTC, and others. This integration breaks the traditional barrier where Bitcoin was seen merely as a store of value. With staking support, Bitcoin holders can now transform their assets into productive financial tools, harnessing the power of DeFi. Well, that last part was tricky. This move is part of StarkNet's broader strategy to become a scaling layer for Bitcoin and Ethereum, unlocking new liquidity avenues and creating advanced building blocks for developers to build innovative products on a unified multi-chain platform. Whoa, sounds like a kind of word soup of bullshit. I think if you asked most Bitcoin holders if they would feel comfortable, well, what do you guys think? Anybody here that owns Bitcoin, what do you think? Would you be willing to put your Bitcoin would you be willing to wrap your Bitcoin and punt it over onto StarkNet to participate in yield farming and liquidity pools and stuff? Would anybody here be comfortable? Maybe some of you will. Maybe some of you are cool with that amount of risk. I am not cool with that amount of risk. I am not. But yeah, and Nexo was kind of sketchy too. Nexo got nuked. They got caught out. Oh man, I got destroyed on that token because they made you buy the token in order to get the yield. Oh, what a scam that was. Anyway, apparently they're trying to get back to the United States. Anyway, oh, by the way, don't use Nexo. Do not use Nexo when they come back. If they come back to the US, don't use Nexo. Okay, since transitioning to proof of stake, StarkNet's already attracted significant attention with over 250 million STRK tokens staked by validators and delegators alike. The upcoming Bitcoin staking feature is expected to further reinforce the network security and enhance its reward system. Bitcoiners staking their assets will earn rewards in STRK tokens. I don't want STRK tokens. That's not a real reward. A real reward is more Bitcoin. Anyway, aligning incentives across the ecosystem while promoting long-term investment is the goal. The initiative is also a key component of StarkNet's hyper-Bitcoinization efforts, aimed at driving wider adoption and increasing the functionality of Bitcoin beyond simple holding, except that it's not, because you're taking your Bitcoin and you're exchanging it for wrapped Bitcoin, and then you're punting it into some spammy lending bullshit, some DeFi lending bullshit. So how is that hyper Bitcoinization if you're taking Bitcoin off the market, swapping it with a wrapped Bitcoin, and then spamming it into a high risk bullshit factory? I don't know, man. Doesn't seem like hyper Bitcoinization to me. By merging Bitcoin's robustness with the innovative solutions of DeFi, StarkNet's setting the stage for a future where digital assets work more efficiently for their holders. With new staking opportunities on the horizon, StarkNet's expansion into the Bitcoin DeFi market represents not just technical evolution, but also, here we go. This is the word I was waiting for. It represents not just technical evolution, but a visionary leap. Methinks Starknet wrote this ad / news blurb about Starknet. What a bunch of bullshit. Okay, don't use Starknet. Don't wrap your Bitcoin and put it into some spammy DeFi crap and then give all your coins away to some dickhead. Don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah. I bought the I ended up buying those tokens. Let me see. Why did I? A lot of people I knew were borrowing against their Bitcoin. What did I use it for? I'm trying to think. What did I use it for? I was just trying to get yield, I think. Oh, yeah. That was just another version of, they had a marketing budget for yield. That's all I was doing. Yeah. Okay. And then finally, Alex. That's him right there. That's the dickhead right there. I have 200 millions of my own monies on the exchange. Why would I pull this? Why would I? What did he say? Why would I be scam, or why would I be crook or something like this? But this was, fellas, this was years ago. This was like 5 or 6 years ago. I said, this son of a bitch is gonna be wearing orange for sure, and all you fools gonna lose your money. It was me and this guy. I think he was Lebanese, and we used to always go in there and hammer these scammy, these douchebag dudes. Like when CZ was on there, we started calling him Sleazy, and we asked him to explain some stuff, and he got all panicked and got all like, because for a while, it was me and Josh, that Lebanese guy, Alex. We had good follow. I didn't have the following that Josh had, but we had some pretty good followings on Clubhouse. So when we go into a room, they would like get us up to the top pretty quickly, and we could ask these assholes questions. And always, more often than not, like, you just knew these dudes were gonna either get indicted or go to jail. So the DOJ is seeking a 20-year sentence for Celsius founder Alex Mashinsky. Prosecutors argue that Mashinsky's crimes sparked losses of $550 million, while he personally profited more than $48 million. What a piece of shit. Prosecutors asked the judge to sentence him to 20 years. So it's federal. If it's federal, that means 240 months. 240 months, bitch. It comes as investors who lost their life savings when the dude, well, first of all, God, if you put your life savings in this man's hands, no offense, I'm sorry, but you fucking deserve to lose everything, you stupid dummy. You stupid dummy. Like, Celsius was always sketch from day one. If you're that stupid, you deserve it. Everything you lost, you deserve it. Chalk it up to the game, bro. Anyway, sucks that people lost, but anyway. So they had asked for him. Some of the investors had come together and written this letter. They want him to spend life in prison. They're like, I lost my life savings, so why doesn't he spend life in prison? But anyway, in a sentencing memo, the U.S. Department of Justice said he should face just punishment for his years-long campaign of lies and self-dealing that left in its wake billions in losses and thousands of victimized customers. Dummies, but still, they were victimized. And the filing asserts that Mashinsky misrepresented how Celsius handled customer deposits. True. Fabricated the company's profitability. True. Placed his customers' funds at the mercy of uncollateralized loans and undisclosed market bets, gambling. Mashinsky pled guilty to 2 of the 7 fraud counts against him. Remember, this was a deal he took. He did all this shit. He said, I'll plead to 2. Doesn't matter, because when the way sentencing works in the federal system, it doesn't matter what you plead to. Your relevant conduct, it encapsulates all of it. This is a little clever thing that's perpetrated by the U.S. government. You say, okay, there's 7 counts of fraud. I'll take 2. I'll cop to 2. You have to drop the other 5. They drop the other 5. But when it comes time for sentencing, the pre-sentencing investigation person, they count all the other 5 counts and all the money involved, as relevant conduct, and that bumps you up on the category of where whatever amount of prison time you get. This is all done. Congress built this whole chart. You can go look at it. You can look at the federal sentencing guidelines, and it's a point-based system. And all of this relevant conduct adds points. So it doesn't matter. You can have 100 counts. You can cop to one of them. You're going to get sentenced on 100 counts of relevant conduct. That gets you up to a level. And then the judge has some discretion in that box. Maybe it's 24 to 240 months to 360 months, and they can sentence you within that box, within that range. That's all that a federal judge can do. It's the pre-sentence people that determine how long you ask gonna be in jail. Anyway, so Mashinsky pled to 2 of the 7 counts, the fraud counts against him: commodities fraud and conspiring to manipulate the value of sell tokens. That's another bullshit thing. Prosecutors argue that the crime sparked losses of $550 million, while he personally profited more than $48 million. His crimes were not the product of negligence, naivete, or bad luck. They were the result of deliberate, calculated decisions to lie, deceive, and steal in pursuit of personal fortune. Oh, it's weird. That sounds like everybody at Tether, everybody at Three Arrows Capital, everybody at FTX, everybody at BlockFi, everybody at Solana. Weird. This is just weird. Anyway, the legal filing goes on to claim that Mashinsky has engaged in elaborate linguistic acrobatics in an effort to avoid taking personal responsibility. Yeah, he plays stupid and acts like he can't speak English, and then he can and he can't. According to the Justice Department, a 20-year jail term reflects the seriousness of his crimes, might deter other fraudsters, and would be consistent with sentences handed to others prosecuted in similar cases. Pointing to the 150, speaking of Bernie, the 150-year sentence given to Bernie Madoff and the 25 years handed to the FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried, prosecutors wrote, defendants who steal billions of dollars through calculated deceit deserve decades, not years, in prison. Hell yeah. The memo went on to warn, Mashinsky's sentencing submission shows he has not truly reckoned with what he did, and he has shown remorse only for the fact that his scheme unraveled and that he got caught. If Mashinsky cannot admit the full scope of his crimes, there's no reasonable assurance that he will not commit them again. He's a crook. It's all he knows. Of course he'll do it again. Oh, man. This stuff is, you can't make this crap up. Mashinsky previously argued that he's worthy of a lesser sentence than SBF because he pled guilty. See, I be plead guilty. He say innocent. I be plead guilty. I should go free. But prosecutors reject this and argue that there are factors that suggest he should receive an even harsher punishment. Whoa. Pointing out that Celsius founder enriched himself to a greater degree than did Bankman-Fried. While Bankman-Fried was in his 20s and argued that his actions were attributable to youth and inexperience, Mashinsky, who's in his 60s, was undisputably old enough and experienced enough to better appreciate the crimes he was committing. Yeah, he had 3 times the life to learn what a fraud really is. You know what? Some would say those extra 40 years of life made him a better criminal. He was a better crook than Sam could have ever been. Anyway, his dumbass gets sentenced on May 8th, so we can look forward to that. Woo! Well, today was a doozy. He got what? Did you have money on Celsius? No. That sucks. Well, you should have kind of seen that coming. Hopefully it wasn't a lot of money, but you should have seen it coming. I remember I won a crypto trivia contest. My buddy was doing a live show and I won a crypto trivia contest, and it was a few $100 in Celsius tokens. And they said, all you do, because Celsius was giving them away or whatever. And they're like, all you have to do is open an account and you can get your winnings. And I was like, no. They're like, what? I was like, no. Well, what do you mean? I was like, I'm not opening a Celsius account. I'm not opening a crypto.com account. I'm not opening an FTX account. I'm not doing it. Those are scams. They're all scams. Well, what do we do with your prize? I'm like, give it to somebody who wants to lose all their shit, because I don't want it. Anyway, yeah, Mashinsky, what a piece of crap. Oh, that's so good. I know it's Schadenfreude. I shouldn't root for other people's demise. But if I could go back and find all the people that were in that Telegram chat, sorry, again, it wasn't Telegram, that were in the Clubhouse room, there was hundreds and hundreds of them, and they had all changed. They used his little punchy face as their avatar. I would love to go to each and every one of them. Do you feel like a fucking idiot? No. Do you feel like a fucking idiot? Yeah. Do you feel like a fucking idiot? Do you feel like? Because I guarantee you, everyone in there lost money. Everyone. Yeah, the bankruptcy, because they got a hold of it quickly, they paid back some money. So I'm glad you got something back. But come on, future. Listen. There's a lot of crooks. There's a lot of thieves. There's a lot of scams. All of crypto is illiquid assets on illiquid exchanges being traded by sketchy individuals that want to steal all of your shit. I'll say it again. What is crypto? Crypto is illiquid assets on illiquid exchanges traded by sketchy, dubious assholes that want to steal all of your shit. And that's the best case scenario. So be very careful. Remember, as admins, no one will ever ask you, text you, or call you asking for it. Well, they'll do it, but they're not official. No one official will ever call you, ask you, text you, push notification you, or email you for private keys, passphrases, or secret anything. Ever. It will never, ever happen. Ever. So just don't respond. And if your bank calls you from some Indian call center claiming to be, oh, this is Chase Online Protect, or this is, no. Tell them politely or impolitely to go fuck themselves, hang up the phone, and go into your app and call the institution directly, right? One of the cool things but right now on Coinbase, many of you will see on Coinbase, if you go into your account, some of you will see a concierge. There's a Coinbase concierge. So if you see that, you reach out to that person, right? Or you reach out through Coinbase support. But no offense, but if you have an Indian sounding name, or worse, if you have an Indian accent and your name is Steve or Rick or Eric, go fuck yourself. I'm not telling you nothing because I think it's a scam. Sorry. I'm gonna stereotype on this one. If I feel like my support request is being piped through Bangladesh, fuck you. I'm not answering. Done. Anyway, stay safe. Everybody wants to steal all your stuff. I hope all of you get to a point where you really don't care what anybody else in life thinks, and you just do what's best for you and the people that you care about. It's a good place to be. I've reached the everyone can go fuck themselves zone. So now when I do stuff, it's because I want to do it, or because I think people deserve it, not because I feel like I have to network or kiss ass. And I hope that everybody financially reaches that. I hope that you spiritually reach that. Like, I wish you that good kind of self-sovereignty. And it comes with, don't let people steal your shit. That's the first thing. Just and listen, you can get your stuff stolen by family members and friends and girlfriends and ex-girlfriends and whatever's and all the kind of whatever. Don't think it's just coming from an Indian call center, but especially when it comes from an Indian call center. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Stay in school. Don't do drugs. Don't do anything my poor and solvent drunk, struggling on meth, grandmother, or Brandon wouldn't do. And we don't know what the weather is, but we know the weather here in LA is spicy. It's going to be in the 70s. It's going to be nice. I see the sunlight. I think it's going to be a good one. All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Stay salty.